Haircut. What size? Sergeant. Sergeant. We are from the same village. We are relatives. So he asked me to. He's fine. He's not here. Yeah.
Let's rise up for Mr. Sitaram Yechuri, who's come inside the. Let's rise up and give him a big applause. We'll have to stop this.
Our esteemed guest for this afternoon, Dr. Sitaram Yechuri, is arrived, accompanied by Reverend Brother Thomas Thanikel, General Secretary, and Father Jimmy, Second Vice President of INAX. And I request Reverend Father Jimmy James to adorn our guest with a ponnadai. And Reverend Brother Thomas Thanikel will give a bouquet of flowers. I now request Reverend Brother Susay Alangaram, one of the Montfort brothers from the province of Yerkad, a member of the provincial administration and the principal of Montfort Anglo-Indian School Yerkad, to introduce our guest.
Good afternoon to one and all present here. I deem it as an honor and privilege to present to you a warm and affable person, committed and competent parliamentarian, a relentless and passionate and pragmatic leader with a quest of excellence. A charismatic leader having friends and followers across the political spectrum. One of the pioneers among the leaders in India, believes in giving nothing but the best. A celebrated columnist, great economist, and social worker, author of more than 10 books, and great orator. Yes, it is none other than our illustrious leader, Sri Sitaram Yechuri. This veteran personality has witnessed decades of changing phases in the Indian political arena. This futuristic leader was born in Chennai and is a proud alumnus of All Saints High School, Hyderabad. It's one of our school managed by Montfort Brothers. After topping the CBSE exam, All India examination, he joined the prestigious St. Stephen's College, Delhi, where he did his BA honors. This brilliant student did MA Economics at Jawaharlal Nehru University. In both the places, he has secured with a distinction. A gifted and eloquent debater, entered the portals of politics at a very young age and was selected as the president of Student Union at Jawaharlal Nehru more than 5 times, where he realized his larger calling. And he was also member in SFI. In spite of the exceptional academic acumen, he pursued political goals. This young stalwart held many responsibility and joined the ranks of the Communist Party of the Communist Party of India, Marxist Party, in the year 1975. At the 14th Congress of CPIM, he was elected as a party political bureau, Politburo. He was selected as a member of the Rajya Sabha twice from West Bengal. He was instrumental in drafting the Common Minimum Program in the year 1996 for the UPA government. He held the post of the chairman of the Parliamentary Standing Committee for Transport, Tourism and Culture and brought several reports on crucial issues. Sir stands up for those millions with his deep understanding and empathy. He believes it is who is in power, but what needs to be done for the people of India. So fathers, brothers and sisters, may I now call upon Sri Sitaram Yechury to share his valuable thoughts on this momentous occasion. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Father Jimmy, the secretary of this organization, Father Maria Ashok Kumar, the president, and Brother Thomas from the Montfort. That was my alma mater when I grew up studying in the All Saints High School in Hyderabad and spent all my time there. So addressing all of you as brothers, fathers and sisters has been the way we grew up. So it's part of my internal psyche. So I don't have to really be unnatural in referring to all of you, because that's how we are all grown up. So thank you very much. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. I think it's an honor, because those were the days in school or college. It was actually a terror to go and meet the principal or the rector. And now I'm told that more than 500 of you, or nearly 600 or more, are all here. So it's also another sense of vicarious pleasure that now you are listening to me instead of my listening to all of you. So I'm very thankful. I mean, I meant it in a lighter way with no insult at all, but I thought the sense of humor is also part of the subtlety of the English education system that we've all been growing up with, along with the philosophy it gave us, about which I'd like to speak a little later. But I'm very impressed with the fact that there are apparently more than 35,000 Christian educational institutions in our country, of which more than 15,000 are Catholic institutions. And in your association or organization, there are more than 2,000 institutions that are affiliated members. And it is indeed one of the broad and the main pathways or the arteries of the living organism called India. And you're preparing these Indians and these patriotic people. So thank you very much for the service you have done. And I'd like to first begin by acknowledging and paying my gratefulness to all of you for the work that you selflessly are undertaking and continue to undertake. So thank you very much. Yes, the attacks on education is what I've been asked to speak on. This is a subject that's very passionate. I mean, it's a passion with me. But before I come to that, let me make one correction. I mean, one, confessions, two of them. One that I've started this morning at 5 o'clock from Chennai and reached here this time before all of you. So I was requesting Father Jimmy whether I should, whether give me some time to change into some nicer clothes, because and once I see all of you in white, I thought I might as well wear a white shirt, but he said, no, you're fine, so you come here. And the father who was introducing me, he said for more than 3 times or 5 times I've been elected as the JNU Students' Union President. I want to correct you that I was not being a professional student politician. I was elected thrice within a span of 10 months. That was because he resigned and got re-elected, and those were the days of, high days of democracy when we fought against the emergency and restored democracy. So that was how it happened. So I didn't serve for more than the regular term, and I'm against any student trying to repeat himself in a student's university elections. So with these things apart, I think we are facing an extremely serious situation in our country, because the system of education is in a country of our diversity, in a country of our multiplicity, not only of faiths, multiplicity of languages, multiplicity of cultures, multiplicity of traditions, and it is indeed a multinational country, which is what India is all about, and it is the pan-Indian consciousness that is what has kept us all together. All of us, like Dr. Amartya Sen said, have a multiple identity. When I go abroad, I'm an Indian. When I'm in India, my mother tongue is Telugu, so I'd say that I'm from Andhra. When I go to Andhra, then I say that I'm from the east, from the coastal Andhra, next to the river Godavari. When I go to my district, I say I belong to the Konasima, which is the delta between the Krishna, Godavari and the sea. So each one of these are our identities. We have our caste identities, we have our various other identities. There is no Indian with a single identity. Every Indian has a multiple identity. And the education system has to be a reflection of these multiple identities. The moment you try to create a uniformity amongst this multiple identity, you only lead to a situation of implosion of that society, and not for the creative growth of that society as a pan-Indian consciousness or nationalism as it should be. Today, education sector is precisely facing that challenge. There is an effort to try and create a uniformity. And uniformity over this diversity is, as I said, will lead to an implosion, but it's an extremely, extremely dangerous area that leads to a lot of friction, to a lot of conflict, and to unnecessary and meaningless inhuman attacks on various people of various denominations, depending on what the dominant denomination wants. That is why India can remain. I'm absolutely confident about this assertion of mine, that India can not only remain, but we can strengthen the bonds of unity and integrity of our country only by strengthening the bonds of commonality that are there in our diversity. The moment you try to impose a uniformity over this diversity, then this country, as we have known so far, will not remain, and it will just simply implode one after the other. Now, this is the backdrop in which these changes in education must be assessed. Because what is sought to be done is that instead of this vast richness of this diversity, what is sought to be done is to straitjacket this into one stream of this diversity. And that is the process through which the changes in the syllabus, the changes in the curriculum, and when you come to the higher education, is a much more dangerous changes that is also of political control that are coming in order to create this sort of a mindset. That is, you condition the consciousness of the children in order to suit your ideological objective, which is the antithesis of education in the modern sense. Gone are the days when education was meant to serve as the vehicle for the ruling classes at that point of time in history. And we all know our history. We've come through, whether it is in Europe through the Greek institutions, or in India through our Gurukuls and the Sanskritized education, or the stories of Ekalavya and Shambhuk in Mahabharata and Ramayana, when education and knowledge is denied to people of the lower caste and the lower order. But with our sweep of our independence movement, we broke through those shackles. We broke through those shackles and we created an education system that is unifying amongst all the people of our country, and that is under threat today. And that is happening today, both at the school level. One of the ways in which they can succeed in not allowing the project of India, that is the idea of India, which is the pan-Indian nationalism, to develop. And instead of that, they want to develop their Hindutva nationalism, which is exclusionary nationalism, which is a nationalism that is antagonistic to all other expressions of Indian nationalism. And that is the meaning of what they would like to develop. For this, both the course content and the access to education must be tampered with. The access to education will have to be limited in order to produce what is required by them for the success of this project. Course correction, the course content has to be so conditioned as to create this sort of a mindset amongst the youngsters so that they're conditioned into believing that this is right. That is why I'd like to take you back. Many of you, the earlier generations of what you're sitting have also taught me, and we have also grown up. So therefore, I feel with due humility, I'm only suggesting that there's a very, very important contribution made by George Lucas, a very, very important thinker of Europe during the period of preceding the Second World War and subsequently. And he's a Hungarian of a left persuasion, and he's written a book. He started examining one fundamental question, and that question was, how did the people of Germany, the inheritors of the most rational scientific philosophical traditions of the modern world? After all, Hegel was a German, so was Marx, so was Engels. But the dialectics, the entire theory of dialectics, the question of this supremacy of rationality in philosophical discourses was something that was established by German philosophy. How did the inheritors of that philosophical traditions eventually embrace and accept fascism and fascist ideology, which is based on irrationality? Why did this happen? And the product of answer to this question was a book called The Destruction of Reason. The destruction of reason is the philosophical attack that conditions the people to accept irrationality in the place of rationality, to accept unreason in the place of reason, and what we call today attacks or assaults on reason that is happening in our country, unfortunately. These are not merely attacks on reason, but this is part of the process of replacing reason with unreason, rationality with irrationality, to prepare the mindset and condition for the acceptance of an ideological project of converting our secular democratic republic based on the Indian constitution into their version of a rabidly intolerant, fascistic Hindu Rashtra, the Hindutva Rashtra that they want to achieve. This is the battle ongoing in the country. The education system is sought to be dovetailed to meet those objectives. And that is why it's a big challenge. And that is why each one of us will have to rise. And when I said that it is a reflection of the Indian diversity, and that is when that comes in the far-reaching, the articles in the Indian Constitution concerning the minority educational institutions, the rights of the religious and linguistic minorities. It's very wrongly understood it's only religious. No, the Constitution provides the rights for both religious and linguistic minorities. And that is precisely that there cannot be a domination of one religion over the others. There cannot be a domination of one language over the others. And it is this rights of the minorities from that point of view which is a reflection of this diversity called the Ocean of India. Now, if you deprive that, then you are cutting away one branch of the tree on which you are sitting. And now this protection of the rights of the minority institutions, which the Supreme Court also, in that Imdad case, has actually even upheld the rights of the minority institutions. But in practice, they keep getting eroded. Now this is something which is happening in practice. But what is the type of attacks that are coming onto the field of education concretely as a result of what we have discussed so far? I would list out 4 of them. 4 such types of attacks that are happening, and put together is a big challenge for all those who cherish the secular democratic republic and its foundations. The first of this, 4 main, there are many more challenges, but 4 main challenges that are occurring. The first of these, this is not in a priority order, all 4 are important, so it's not first, second, third, fourth, but all 4 I would say. But one of them is what I was just speaking to you about, the entire, at the epistemological level, at the level of knowledge that you have to give to the children, at that level itself, there is an assault on reason. And the whole effort is to try and reduce the study of Indian history to the study of Hindu mythology, the study of Indian philosophy, the richness of Indian philosophy, to the study of Hindu theology. This transition, history to mythology, philosophy to theology, lays the basis for the assault on reason, as I would call it, and that is the conditioning that is sought to be done, and this is happening through the changes in the content of the syllabi, through the various public utterances that condition the minds of the youngsters. Well, it is no less than our Honorable Prime Minister, who spoke of the achievements of plastic surgery in the creation of the Lord Ganesha in ancient India. Or he said the birth of Karna was testimony to the fact that India was already aware of the in vitro fertilization scientific advances, and the test tube baby was born. No, this is not accidental. Today, if you look at everything else, it goes back to the epics, to mythology. Mythology is the history. There is no other history other than mythology. And this is permeating in every sphere. In the evenings, you go onto any television channel and look at the serials that are there. Out of the 3-4 that will be there in prime time, you'll find 2 at least dealing with stories of your epics, Ramayana, Mahabharata, or related. One of them will definitely be about obscurantism, black magic, and ghosts and all that. And there'll be one with that. So the retrograde thought process, this assault on reason, is a complete package. Not only in the field of education, but it's in the field of communication, field of entertainment, in the field of information. So this is the first of the challenges that needs to be met. And how do we meet this? Is to bring back to the center of the agenda the syncretic character of Indian history, its evolution, and the manner in which probing questions need to be actually answered. For instance, many of you teach history to youngsters. I've also been taught, as I said, but were there many serious questions that still remain unanswered in our textbooks? There's a reason why. Why is it that today, everything that is there as a treasure of art, a treasure of the product of the Buddhists, is to be found in caves in India? Why does it have to be the Ajanta caves? Why does it have to be the Ellora caves? Why is it that after the 7th century, that equality that Buddhism followed, that was somehow, that vanished, and India's intellectual and knowledge development suddenly was put an end to? Why is it post 7th century, Buddhism thrives just over the borders of India? But here, all their repository of their culture and their entire knowledge is found to be underground? These are questions which we need to answer for ourselves. Yes, Buddhism was more of a religion based on equality, more again without social discrimination, and when the assertion of the dominant social caste or any other form of organization came, the reassertion, then that had to be banished from this place. Why in Bamiyan? Why in Tibet? Why in Sri Lanka? Why in Southeast Asia? Buddhism thrives. So these questions are never answered in our textbooks. Now what is happening is worse, that they are never even posed as questions in our textbooks. And that is how this happens. So this has to be a conscious struggle against this. That is the assault on reason, the epistemological foundation of what is being taught to the students is being affected this way. The second of these four challenges is that of the political control. Now the control over the administration of the schools. You are facing a lot of such new orders and new methodologies against minority institutions. And these minority institutions, of course, we are fighting. Some of us have stood with you, will continue to stand with you, will continue to fight both in the parliament and outside, because this is part of our growing up and part of our syncretic culture and our syncretic evolution. But political control is essential to advance this notion of the assault on reason. And if you look at it in the higher education context, in school education it is happening. The syllabus, what is being taught, and the new textbooks that are being written, what is being shown in some instances which have come out into public domain. All these distortions again go back to the same point that we were discussing in the first of these assaults, and that is the assault on reason and propagation of a certain point of view that India has always been a Hindu society. There's been no other religion worth the name that can be in India of equal status with the Hindus. So all those with other religious denominations will have to be second-class citizens. And that is how it has to be treated. But that is to be fed through the creation of a knowledge or an epistemological foundation. And that is what is happening to the syllabus and content. But to facilitate this, you require political control. That's the second one. What's happening in higher education? The University Grants Commission is now going to be replaced by Higher Education Council of India. And the Higher Education Council of India will decide the funding for the universities. So what was done through the University Grants Commission with the control of academics over taking the decisions of which university is doing well, which is not, etc., will now be taken over in the control of the politicians and the bureaucrats under the HECI. And the main question is, of course, the funding, and the next important question is the course content. The UGC used to, even today, subscribe or instruct on what would be the content of the courses that should be run, and they would examine that. But now, that will be left to this